Some people are saying there needs to be an asterisk next to the 2020 NBA champion, but they are saying this to diminish the value of the Orlando playoff bubble, as if this year's championship should mean less. Not only is this year's a completely valid championship, but I think this is the single toughest championship a team can win, and I'll explain why.
This shit sound like an intro jet song, give me that tempo. Told Pooh he a fool with the shit. Told her don't let her friends know. In the Ville and I move like a dime. Eating fettuccine at Vincenzo's.
Hi, I'm Trace, and I'm going to give 5 reasons why the 2020 NBA championship is the most difficult one to win in history. My first reason is this: getting a top seed in the playoffs has never meant less. Usually, if you're a top seed, you can expect that the road to a championship is going to come through your home court. You can guarantee a certain amount of games being played at home, and therefore you have an advantage. There is a huge statistical advantage to playing at home, and this is especially true in the NBA. The NBA has the biggest home court advantage of all sports. So I'm going to give some numbers to demonstrate this. 71%, 60%, and 64%. Here's what these numbers mean. 71% is the home team percentage of how many games were won in the 2018-2019 season. The home team won 71% of the time last season. 60%. 538 says this is the average regular season home team success percentage. So if you think about a 50-50 game, it is now 60-40 by just being at home. And in the playoffs, that number turns to 64%. When the games are even more meaningful, home court is an even bigger advantage. So no matter how you slice it, if you look at any 3 of these numbers, there is a huge statistical benefit to having home court. In the Orlando bubble, that is completely erased. Every other championship gets these numbers, at least one of them, however you want to slice it, in their favor. The top seed always has this advantage. Milwaukee, Lakers, Raptors, Clippers, these 1s and 2 seeds, they have no statistical advantage for being the top seed. So just like that, there's one huge detriment that the Orlando bubble will never allow the other top seeds to have, that you usually would in a regular season. My second reason for saying this is the toughest championship ever is because these are the toughest conditions, and players are making the biggest sacrifices they've ever have to make. If you think about COVID itself, if you think about racial injustice going on, and if you think about the fact that players aren't allowed to have their family members with them, these guys are giving up a lot to compete for a championship. There's never been something like this. There's no routine established here. Everything is completely unprecedented. Guys are playing with heavy hearts, knowing that they're honoring different slogans and people and phrases on the back of their jerseys. They're playing without their family. That's without an emotional support system. That's without comfort. That's without things you usually expect to have on a difficult playoff run. And COVID itself, there's an uncertainty of, am I healthy? Am I infecting my team? The conditions of the bubble itself are so hard to be comfortable with. And that's just what makes this playoff even more difficult, is there's no routine, there's no precedent as to how to go about this, and people are figuring it out as we go. So that alone makes this a very difficult championship. Now my third reason is because players are going to have to be playing good basketball for a longer period of time. If you think about it like this, a regular season usually starts mid-October, let's say October 15th, and ends early June. Last year it was June 6th. So in that span of October 15th to June 6th, that is 234 days. That is the span of what a regular, and in a normal season, not this COVID season, in a 2018-2017 season, that a playoff team has to be good for. The finals ended on the 234th day. So that's how long a team has to be good for. Now in COVID, in this season, here's the numbers of what these teams had to go against. The season began October 22nd, and the last game of the finals for this year is going to end on October 13th. That is 357 days where the championship team has to be playing quality basketball. That is 123 days of a difference, 17 weeks, which of course means over 4 months of more mental energy, of more focus, of more quality basketball that needs to be played in order to be a champion. Just spreading out the season of how it is proves how difficult this is going to be. The championship of who wins here also wins the battle of longevity. And that is such a difficult thing to do because playoff championship runs have a little bit of luck with them just in the structure of how the playoffs work. So having that work in your favor now is a testament to the longevity and stability of a team. Winning under these circumstances is unprecedented and it's impeccable. That is such a long time to be the best team in basketball. So if you can peak at the right time and if you're ready for these playoffs, this is the most impressive championship I've ever seen. My fourth reason of why this is so difficult is this. Previous season matchups now mean less than ever. This is building off the same idea of the calendar year. The Lakers' home opener against the Clippers, that was now like a year ago. It wasn't just 6 months ago. So that's even less of what can translate into your next matchup. If the Lakers have to prepare for the Clippers, for example, if they want to look back on, okay, when is the last time we played them? Thankfully, they played in the bubble, but that's it. That's really all you can go off of. You can't go off of a December matchup. You can't go off of February matchups because that's such a long time ago. In a regular season where the playoffs would start in April, a February matchup would be a very valid data point in terms of what can translate. Now a February point kind of feels like a completely different season. So less things translate. And also, if you think about what the bubble brings along, is rosters look completely different now. Here's a list of players that are playing in the Orlando bubble right now, but under normal conditions probably wouldn't be getting these minutes right now. Guys like Dion Waiters, Bol, Cameron Payne had the opportunity to completely revive his career, J.R. Smith, and the others that you see on this list, these are guys who have greatly benefited from the opportunity of the bubble. Now, coming back to my topic of why this is such a difficult thing, is because now this is more to prepare for. Like how I talked about of the Lakers-Clippers matchup, and in terms of what translates from the regular season, well, Dion Waiters and J.R. Smith weren't on the roster the last time these guys played in a normal pre-COVID setting. So just like that, there's more to prepare for in less time, which just adds to the difficulty of this season. Now, my fifth and final reason is because there are limited resources in the bubble. That's what makes this playoff so difficult as well, is teams could only bring a certain amount of staff with them. So that means this is a very common situation, and I'll bet this exact example has probably happened already in the bubble. Let's say somebody after a practice is feeling a bit of a foot pain or a very specific body pain where it's not something a general doctor can talk about. Let's say, like the foot example, there's a podiatrist usually that could diagnose the problem and talk to the player about exactly what they need to do to fix their foot issue. But now, let's say the podiatrist didn't come down to the team in the NBA bubble. Well, just like that, now there's going to have to be a different medical professional for this because there are less resources available and guys have to make more sacrifices in the bubble. So overall, there's just less access to resources in the Orlando bubble. I mean, did you see what Lou Williams had to do just to get some Magic City wings around here? He had to quarantine for that and then pay a huge price for it on social media. Now, obviously that's a joke example, but point being, if guys have any routines, any traditions, if they have any go-to comfort food, let's say, about Magic City wings, then that is now completely gone. The Orlando bubble is forcing new circumstances on people, and the team who adapts best will win the championship. And these circumstances are just forcing the most on people. They're pushing them to the point of where this championship has to be viewed as the most valuable and difficult one to win. So I'll conclude this topic by saying this. Yes, I do think there should be an asterisk next to the 2020 NBA championship. But I think it should only be there to mark that this season is different, rather than saying that this season is somehow less valuable. If anything, I agree with the lines of Doc Rivers and Adam Silver, who have both said that this year's championship deserves a gold star in replacement of an asterisk, just to say that this is worth so much more than a regular season, and the circumstances being forced on these players just proves the value in winning this year. This will be the most incredible championship that I've ever seen, and the toughness and adversity that comes with the season is simply unmatched. So That's how I feel about the asterisk issue. Let me know what you guys think too. This is a very interesting topic. There's a lot of ways to take it. But thank you so much for listening. This is the Tune Out. I'll talk to you soon and catch you next time.